Hello, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about what's been going on in my brain since the X-E5 was announced. And I had already decided that I wasn't going to get the camera, and how strong the pull of wanting new gear can be and how debilitating it can be at times as well. So let me just explain what I'm going through. I've noticed three different phases that I go through, and they kind of work in a loop where you have this excitement phase where you want to research everything about the gear that you're interested in. Say, like you're just watching all the videos, you're going to the spec sheets, you're reading them over, but you don't just do it once, you do it multiple times. You visit the pros videos, you visit the con videos, then you go back to the pros and you go back to the cons, and you go through this cycle. The next phase is that what I would call the justification phase, which is where you start to figure out, well, how can I get this gear? So you start to bargain with yourself about, well, what can I sell? Is there a lens? Is there a camera that I don't need? What can I sell that I could replace it, right? So by replacing the gear, you alleviate that I'm not adding gear, I'm just upgrading. What's happening is you're convincing yourself that this new gear, you could replace it with the old gear and somehow it would be better. Then you go through what I would call the disillusion phase, which is where you don't really like your gear anymore that you currently have. So you're not using your current gear because, well, I really need the other gear and this is just old and I'm not going to be very productive with it, and you go back and forth. And then you kind of loop back up to where you've convinced yourself you're not going to get the gear. But then it starts to like pull a thread in your brain where you'll go a couple of days and then you'll see it again. You'll see a video about it. Of course, the algorithms are great at showing you what you already told them you were interested in. And you see it again. And so you start the cycle again. You get that excitement phase. You start to, you realize you're the only one missing out now. And everybody else is having a blast. They're pre-ordering. They're all excited. They're going to be better photographers because they're getting this gear and you are missing out. Nothing that you have is good enough. Which is ironic because the X-T5 is better than the X-E5 is in many respects. And it's the same price. And I think that's what feeds this whole thing, where you go through this, and then you go through the justification phase again, and then you flip, and you tell yourself, okay, no, I'm not getting it, and you walk away, and you step out of the loop for a little while, and then you get pulled back in. It's like there's gravity that just pulls you and is constantly pulling you, and it's reminding you, oh, that's right, I'm the one, I don't have that gear. Everybody else is getting it. I'm missing out. So one of the things that I was doing is thinking, how can I battle that? Because I don't want to purchase the X-E5. I'm happy with the gear I have, or at least I thought I was until the announcement of that. But one of the things that I did was force myself to look at my existing gear in a new light and just look at it as if it's a new camera and go out and shoot with it. Me using an X-E5 isn't going to make anything better for my photography at all. I love the X-E4 that I have. It's perfectly adequate for what I need it for. I just wanted to go through what's been going on in my mind, and I'm assuming for other people, you might have already pre-ordered it, and maybe your circumstances are different, and you need to get it. For me, it's just way overpriced for what it is and for what I already have. So there's just not a need for it, but there's that pull, that constant pull about I'm missing out on it. And I think, it's gear acquisition syndrome, which has been talked about endless times on channels here on YouTube. I did some research online looking up, what are the major symptoms with gear acquisition syndrome, and one of them is anxiety and dissatisfaction. And that, I think, is crucial to this, is that you have anxiety that you're missing out on stuff, and then you start to pick apart your gear and you're dissatisfied with it for some reason, whereas prior to the announcement, you were not dissatisfied with, I'm not dissatisfied with the camera. My advice is, if you are feeling this way, but you don't have any intentions of upgrading or buying the gear, then focus on the gear that you do have, get reacquainted with it, get out and shoot more. Asking yourself, why do I have the equipment to start with? It's for a purpose, right? So what is the purpose? And go out there and start using it again. And break away from that gravity pull of wanting new gear and feeling like you're missing out if you don't get it. If anybody else is struggling with this as I am, please leave it in the comments if you've experienced this, or if there's other phases that you go through that I'm not describing here, and what it's like for you. I'd really like to hear that. And if all of that fails, what I would recommend is box up your existing camera and unbox it again as if it's new. Maybe that'll help. I'll see you in the next video.